Hey everyone, real quick, if you're thinking of building a website or want to use WordPress or want to have your own custom email address, consider using Bluehost. Bluehost is an internet server that we use. It's very flexible, it's inexpensive. If you don't want to have a Gmail account, you want to have your own private email, you want to create a couple of websites, I found Bluehost to be really easy, and we use them for Garden Fork. Also, we have a special deal with Bluehost. If you want to find out more information and get a low rate, it's gardenfork.tv/Bluehost. Gardenfork.tv/Bluehost. That'll take you to the Bluehost site with a special pricing deal for Garden Fork viewers. Right? Hey everyone, welcome to Garden Fork Radio. You're here with Rick and Eric. Good morning,
Good morning. Good morning, my friend. How are you?
I'm great. We just took the dogs to a new park in Brooklyn. It's called, I don't remember the name of the park. What do they call it? I think it's called the Bush Terminal Piers Park. If you are familiar with the shoreline of Brooklyn, it was at one time filled with piers and warehouses, the height of which was during World War II.
Right.
And a lot of these piers have decayed. There is a small container port in Brooklyn, and there's also the luxury liner pier, which Rick has been to.
Right.
But south of that, down near my neighborhood, they took some of these decayed piers and they made a park out of it.
Wow. I remember driving through. You're driving us through some of that area, I think.
Yep.
And commenting on, some of these buildings been here since since World War I, but since like the Civil War.
Yes. Right near where I picked you up was all Civil War era buildings.
Yeah. So, well, that's great.
Yeah, there was no one there, 7 a.m. on a Sunday morning in the winter.
Yeah, pretty brisk outside, isn't it?
Yeah. It wasn't too bad. It was nice. So, and then here we are in cozy, warm house. So hey, we have we have a couple things to talk about today. We're going to talk about, every year we have kind of a show about helping out people less fortunate, kind of a how to donate show. And that's today. We're going to talk about donating food. Also, we got an interesting letter from Kevin about tiny houses.
And we talked about tiny houses just the other day, so that's great.
And Garden Fork has expanded its relationship with Home Depot, and we now have an affiliate relationship with them. So if we talk about something on the site or on the podcast and we provide a link and you go to Home Depot and buy it, you can go to homedepot.com and order it and have it either shipped, or you can pick it up at your local store, or you can have it shipped to your home directly. And I've done this a couple times. It works quite well, by the way.
Yeah.
So we get a finder's fee from Home Depot. It doesn't raise the price of your item, but it punts us a couple bucks to help produce Garden Fork. So
okay,
I just made that happen the other day. And in the iTunes podcast app, as you're listening to the show, the Garden Fork logo comes up. It's usually a picture of Henry. If you tap on that, the show notes come up. I just discovered that. And there are clickable links in there now. So we're going to talk about this article from Kevin, these food banks, and also our Home Depot and Amazon sales links are all in there. So if you wanted to go shopping at Amazon, you could click on our link, and then we would be helped, and that would be great.
Well, that makes it absolutely a useful site now, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'm getting more useful.
No, I'm talking about iTunes. iTunes used to be just they're supplying data, the product, the podcast. But now you can actually do some interaction through there, and that's great.
Yeah, there's kind of this amazing thing, like the media is like, podcasting is having a resurgence because of that This American Life podcast called Serial, which I listen to. It's not really a resurgence. It just keeps growing. I mean, more and more, like people I wouldn't even think about listen to podcasts. They're like, oh yeah, I listen to podcasts now while I work out. And I'm like, that's amazing.
Yeah. Is that new?
I just discovered. So that's great. So everyone that's listening, you are ahead of the curve.
That's right.
What have you been up to, sir?
What have I been up to? Trying to stay warm down here. Had a little cold snap, but bright and sunny outside. Trying to. I have started to I've been on kind of an exercise and weight loss binge, which
Yeah.
is a little tough during the winter, and particularly as the holidays get here. And so I've been to the gym several times, and I really don't enjoy the machine things.
Yep.
And it's difficult to put in the kind of miles that it gets pretty boring just walking around the gym. And so I've decided to start swimming again. And I took a page out of your book. You gave me a great idea. I had an old iPhone 3GS laying around.
I have one too.
And I have I had to go find a SIM for it. When I switched up to a new phone, I threw the old SIM away, thinking I was doing something right. But I didn't have to do that. But you got to have the SIM for it to actually kind of activate.
For it to boot up.
Yeah, for it to boot up and stuff. But I've turned it into essentially a podcast player, which used to be I could go swim, which is the whole purpose of this now. With a little MP3 player, and you could put books and whatnot on it. But now that most of the public libraries have gone to apps, you've got to have a player that will actually take the app and decode it and play it. And so it's a form of digital rights management, but it's just the way it goes. And so I have a one of those waterproof pouches that's made for whitewater rafting. You put your phone in, and it has a welded wire through the center of it for your headphone plugs, and it has a set of waterproof headphone plugs that come with it. And if I drown my 3GS, well, it's no great loss.
Right.
And so I've been swimming laps with it and listening to audiobooks.
Cool. So how do you have waterproof earphones?
Yes. And most earphones are actually, if you don't have the microphone piece on them, straight headphones are really waterproof anyway. These, the only addition they have is kind of some conical pieces on the earpiece, the silicone earpiece that goes in your ear, to better fit it so it doesn't fill with water and distort the sound. Wow,
that's great. Good for you, sir.
So that's what I've been doing, and like I say, it's working out beautifully. Listening to a Carl Hyacin book called Native Tongue. He writes about all the strange and bizarre folks down in Florida, South Florida, and he writes a very entertaining tale. It keeps me going as I plow the water.
Neat. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to listen to Garden Fork all the time, everyone. You can listen to audiobooks. By the way, I asked people for cookbook recommendations for one of our cookbook guides and got a lot of neat responses. So you guys have ideas for audiobooks, why don't you send them to us, radio@gardenfork.tv, and we will talk about that on the air.
Okay.
So I a lot of times, maybe it's a guilt thing I have, but I have a real blessed life, and I'm always like, how can I help other people? And because a lot of times they're almost invisible, the people that do need help. And you're like, how could I help them? And I think one of the best ways is to go through an organization. And you can, a lot of times around this time of the year, everyone wants to volunteer to serve Christmas dinner and that kind of thing, which is great. But these organizations need help year round. But we always talk about it this time of year about what you can do to help people. And Rick found a really good blog post about food banks and food pantries, and when donating food to them, what they need and what they don't need.
Right. It's called foodlets.com, foodlets.com, and what food banks need most and what they get too much of. And it's let me see it. Charity Matthews is the one who wrote this.
It's a really nice. It's a parenting. I call it a parenting website. Getting your kids to eat the right foods kind of thing.
Okay. And it just kind of goes down the list, and she's done some research on what works well in food banks, what they need, and what they don't need. And I think it's a great thing to pay attention to this time of year for those that who have kind of hit on rough times and need a little bit of help.
Yeah, these people, they may be homeless. They may have an apartment, but maybe the electricity isn't on. They might not have refrigeration, And, it's just hard sometimes. What I thought was very interesting, she's in the Carolinas, and she called the Salvation Army and a local food pantry and asked them a bunch of questions because she's a mom and she's giving her kids foods to bring to the school. They have a school food drive. And so she's like, well, what do they really need? And the number one thing they said they need is very interesting, I thought.
Yeah, it's money.
The food banks and food pantries, and we'll talk about that difference as well. They have access to things at a lower cost than you and I do. They can buy in bulk or wholesale prices on things. So yeah, us bring them some cans of food is great, but if we just give them money, they can buy more cans of food.
And a lot of time, I see our food pantry truck or our food bank truck over at my local Food Lion place. And they are there picking up the food that is, there's a big controversy, or not a controversy, but there's sell by date, best by date, expired date.
Right. And
a lot of this stuff, it's past the best by date, but it's still good food because actually best by date is a construct of the advertising people to get you to buy more food. It has nothing to do with how good the food is, how long it lasts, that kind of thing. And so they can buy that at cost or even a little bit less from the
grocery stores.
Grocery stores. I've started to say restaurants, but from the grocery stores, as well as pick up their slightly bruised or a little bit out of date fruit and vegetables, bread that's a little bit old. They can get all that from these places and help keep the food in the system so it doesn't go into dumpsters and just get wasted.
Neat. The second thing they said was canned meats. And she says, think beyond tuna and soup, which food banks get tons of. Go for canned beef, canned ham, canned chicken, canned salmon, hearty, ready-to-go meals like beef stew and chili with meat. And by the way, canned salmon is much more ocean-friendly than canned tuna.
That's right.
And I actually buy canned salmon, and we throw it on top of a salad a lot of times for a weeknight meal. And you're getting your omega-369s. You're getting some protein. And you're not killing off the tuna population.
Right.
Or the dolphins. For that
or the dolphins, yeah. Canned vegetables. Everybody goes for green beans, but think about the other things like potatoes, carrots, spinach, peas. These folks have kids like you and me, and they need to vary the diet.
Yeah, the next one is canned fruit, not pineapple. This is most commonly donated fruit. Any other fruit, particularly those in fruit juice without extra sugar. Because the other thing this article says is that a lot of people that are at risk or need some help are diabetic as well. So they can't have that sugar. Dried fruits as well, raisins and stuff. I'm big on raisins. So
yeah, I like raisins. I love raisins and a little bit of olive oil with some almond slivers and then some spinach on top of that. And maybe some garlic, kind of whip it up in a pan. It's wonderful.
Wow, you're like a culinary chef there.
Then they talk about boxed meals. And boxed meals are great, but they can't need things that you have to add other than water. Things like Hamburger Helper needs hamburger.
Yeah.
And so things that just require water to hydrate them.
Yeah, and then they have low sugar cereal like plain Cheerios, peanut butter, which I love. Instant oatmeal, instant grits, which kind of sounds like a what's the word, Rick?
An abomination.
Yes.
Yes. But if you can add a little cheese to it, maybe it wouldn't be so bad.
Yeah, and I'll just run through some of these. Biscuit or baking mixes, again, it only requires water. Pasta and pasta sauce, snack items for kids to take to school. And then they talk about things I didn't think about, like diapers, toiletries, toothpaste, shampoo, chapstick,
right.
Stuff, the stuff that's in your medicine cabinet, they need that too.
Right, the feminine hygiene products.
Yeah, and it's spices. I didn't think about spices. Mm-hmm. Sliced bread, it's got a very long shelf life. Bags are apples or potatoes. She mentions chocolate, and then things like socks,
Yeah.
warm clothes.
Yeah. That's what Dumbledore wanted. Socks. Wool socks. You're not a Harry Potter fan.
No, but that's okay.
It's okay. I just remember that from the books.
Yeah. And the difference between a food bank and a food pantry, food banks usually are more like a warehouse operation, that they're large scale operations that collect and distribute food to the pantries. And the pantries are the walk-in facility, the storefront. And that information we got from ampleharvest.org. So we'll link to all this stuff.
I didn't know that. And a lot of these people, they're street people from time to time, but a lot actually have jobs. They're just having trouble making it this time of year, or they're in between jobs and that kind of thing. The other thing to think about is the animals. And of course, Eric and I are both big dog people. One of the things I do on a pretty regular basis, I know my SPCA uses Purina One is what they feed. And so I will, when I'm at the store, buy a 50-pound bag or a 20-pound bag of Purina One and drop that off along with all the old newspapers we've collected over a month or two at the SPCA for the dogs.
That's great. Yeah, actually, I just learned that there is a pit bull rescue shelter in our neighborhood. New York being what it is, there's a lot of pit bulls for the wrong reasons.
Yes.
And they're really sweet dogs. They're just they're just happy to be around. This is kind of, and they're so muscular. They're barely any hair, and they're just like this massive energy. So, consider looking around for a local shelter and throwing them a couple bucks.
Well, and think about just the fact too. I'm involved in Karen Rescue, but Karen Terrier Rescue. But all the rescues are struggling this year with, and it's been this way for a couple of years now, with the downturn in the economy. A lot of people lost their homes, and they had to move into apartments, and they couldn't take the dog with them. We got a flood of dogs into rescue, and we have foster care parents who are caring for too many dogs. Frankly. And we need people to step up to the plate and come and rescue dogs. And it's true for greyhounds. You name a breed, or if it's just a mutt, there are tons of dogs out there that need a warm, loving home. And they need your love. And so, and they have lots of love to give.
There you go. So the next thing that you can donate is totally out of left field, and it's thanks to Rich G, our Garden Fork pal up in Connecticut. And that is, you can donate blood.
Okay. I'm sorry. I was drinking coffee when you said that.
I was expecting more of a wow, Eric.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, I was anyway, coffee.
I follow Rich on Instagram, and yesterday, I think it was, he took a picture of his I just donated blood. You get a sticker on, you get to wear on your shirt after you donate blood. And I was like, wow, that's a brilliant thing to donate.
You bet.
I give blood, I think it's every 55 days. I'm not quite sure. They basically call me, and they're like, Eric, we need your blood again.
Right. Yeah, they kind of pop a flare when they need something.
I am O negative, which is a universal donor blood. So
I bet you are popular.
Yeah, I really am, because that's emergency room blood. The problem with that is I can only receive O negative blood. So all you O negative people, when I'm in trouble, I'm going to call you.
Yeah, we're gonna have a new blank on the Garden Fork sign up sheet or page.
Yeah, what's your blood type?
What's your blood type? So we may have to call on you.
And I faint at the sight of needles. I do not like needles. I'm fascinated by medicine and hospitals, all the geek gear they have. Mm-hmm. But when you pull a needle out, I have to look away. I just look the other way and I hold my arm out for them. And it's barely a pinch. And you need to hydrate before you go. Like if it's your first time, drink a couple of glasses of water the night before and the day of you're going to give blood, because that makes your veins pop better. It's easier for them to pop a needle in there. It's barely a pinch. It's like your dog nipping you when you're feeding them a treat or something. And you're doing a great thing because, They haven't quite figured out how to synthesize blood yet. So
Yeah. And of course, it's that time of year where a lot of people are giving gifts and making donations, either for tax purposes or the gifts for the holiday season. And frankly, I have enough cheap plastic crap from China that I'll be fine for the rest of my life, I think. And so we tend to look at things we value. And like you say, we've had a blessed life. We've had a life of plenty. And so we make a regular contribution to our food bank because that's a year-round need in our area.
yeah.
We also support a organization called Heifer International.
Oh, that's a brilliant one.
Yeah, and I love Heifer. They don't buy doodads for people. They stand people up on their feet by giving them the means to create their own wealth by
They give
having
them a cow.
cows, chickens, goats, that kind of thing. When you get a pair of goats, you're expected to give the firstborn, what is a baby goat? Anyway, away to someone else so they can increase their herd, and then you increase your herd.
I think it's a kid. It's called a kid.
A kid, that's it. And then, but they also do bees. They do any number of things. And Heifer is just a great organization for making people self-sufficient and giving them a leg up. And I really believe in it.
Yeah. Oh, real quick, back from the Food Let's post, she said that when you're making donations of food, put them in boxes rather than bags. Her name is Charity, by the way. I'm sorry. Charity Curley Matthews. And because the food is being handled a bunch of times going from your house to the end person, and paper bags or plastic bags start to shred. So cardboard boxes are preferred.
That's right. And the other thing to know is if you're going to go do this in person and you have kids, this is a perfect learning opportunity.
Yeah.
So, they need to see you do good, not just hear about how you do good.
Cool. So if you want to shift gears, we got an interesting email from Kevin, once again, who's up in the Syracuse area. And he sent us a local news article that there are two different groups in the Syracuse area planning tiny house developments, would you call it? They're talking about building and siding tiny houses in the Syracuse area.
Wow, that's interesting.
There are two different. One is a nonprofit group that's proposed building townhouses for the homeless that would cost less than $14,000 each. And then there are two entrepreneurs who right now run a food establishment, a restaurant, Cindy Seymour and Laura Surway, who are planning to build 6 400-square-foot houses on a single city lot in their neighborhood. Very interesting. And those houses are expected to sell between $70,000 and $85,000.
Wow. You say $14,000 for each person for, the homeless, but I have seen articles that break this out, and that's considerably less than what most, if you take all the stuff all the money that goes toward combating homelessness, that's considerably less than what we give per year. One of the interesting things, and we've actually been working on this idea, I don't know how it's going to come about, but I've been thinking a lot about it as we get older. She Who Must Be Obeyed and I are both crossing into 60 now, thinking about how to age in place in our community. And we actually have a very nice community we're part of here in our area. But I have thought it would be really interesting to build a small subdivision of 2 master bedroom homes with a common living area, and array them in such a way around a more of a central house where all the laundry facility, maybe even the high-end cooking, and places to spread out are. And fixing it so people kind of move in, and then as one partner dies off, maybe 2 people join up in those 2-bed master bedroom homes, and kind of keep it moving that way, so we can look after each other and not be such a drain. But it's just a thought, some way to age in place.
Yeah, I'm definitely thinking about that too. That's I think our neighborhood is a great place to age in place because I can just wheel my little powered wheelchair down to the corner bodega, you know?
Well, it turns out we landed, and it just happened to work out this way, in a terrific neighborhood for this. Even though the housing situation is not what I described, we're all, many of us in this area, just about the same age, at the same place in life. And so we could do that. But I was thinking if he actually kind of planned it and made it a little more formal, so it'd be a little easier. But still, it's an interesting thought.
Yeah, and this article has links to a bunch of different projects in different areas that people are talking about tiny house initiatives, either just for people because they want a tiny house or for people that need a place to live. So kind of neat. I aspire to a tiny house, but I have to get rid of all my power tools, I think.
And I guess as we're talking about aging in place, it's not the season to talk about it, but I want to mention it just because it was such a terrific series. There is a podcast called To the Best of Our Knowledge, and it's always been abbreviated TT Book, to the best of our knowledge.org. And it's done by Wisconsin Public Radio, and they just did a 5-part series on death. And that sounds a little grim, but it's a fascinating series. It's mostly about things that I really wished before my parents had passed I had known, and about conversations that maybe we should have had that we didn't have. It's a fascinating series. It's a great way to kind of get started with that, because it's something that we're all, in our culture, we kind of shunt it to the side and we say, oh, that's not going to happen. You're going to live forever, that kind of thing. And we're not doing the people who are getting older any favors by not really addressing their concerns. And so it's a great series to listen to and give you something to think about.
Cool.
And it's not grim at all. There are a lot of really funny moments in it.
This is like the deep thought Garden Fork show.
It is. This is the philosophical Garden Fork show.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. Well, there you go. I think that's plenty for you guys to chomp on your ride to work. You think so, Rick?
Oh, certainly. I'm sorry. Yes, Eric. I agree completely.
You don't see me winking at you through the microphone here.
Yeah, maybe we do need to set up the video portion of this so we can actually look at each other.
Little hand signs.
Yeah, get
Dude.
Yeah, hey, wake up, Jack.
Or drop that. Don't talk.
The cut thing. Don't talk about that. No. So we'll be shilling for the orange store from here on out, I guess.
No.
Oh.
You can go where you want. But there's a lot of podcasts, there's a lot of blogs and websites that all have links to buy things. And a lot of them don't acknowledge their affiliate links. And I think that's wrong. So no, you can go wherever you want.
Sure. I was just teasing you.
But the TV networks have commercials, the radio shows have commercials, and we don't really have commercials. We just have these, links to buy things. But you can, like on our recent cookbook one, I said you can buy these on Barnes & Noble, which we have an affiliate with. You can buy them on Amazon, which we have an affiliate with, or you can buy your independent bookstore. And I provided a link to IndieBound where you can search for a local bookstore and order it online from that local bookstore. So I'm all about that as well. All right.
Yeah. It's I was just razzing you a little bit.
Oh, did I sound like I was annoyed? I didn't mean to sound annoyed.
I didn't want you to get all whatever. But it's wonderful. I will send you a link to my favorite cookbook called the Cruising Chef Cookbook. It's something we used on the boat for years by Michael Greenwald, and it has a lot of great pressure cooker recipes because pressure cookering was really big. It's kind of old, but it's a great book.
We actually made pressure cooker short ribs last night, and once again, I shot a video this time. So it's the easiest thing in the world, and makes you look like a restaurant chef.
Yeah. And I'm in the mood for red beans and rice, I think, before the holidays really get rolling here for us.
All right. Well, cool. Well, thank you everyone for listening. If you want to email us, it's radio@gardenfork.tv. And if you click on the Garden Fork icon while you're listening, the show notes will pop right up, and we'll link to Rick's cookbook, this really great foodlets.com web post about food banks and stuff. Very interesting. And all the other stuff. And Kevin's article from the Syracuse.com website.
And one other thing to think about. They're just now showing up in my mailbox. Most important thing this Christmas is that the seed catalogs are here.
Yeah.
And so it's really time to begin thinking about, I know it seems early, but getting your seeds ordered and getting your indoor seedlings planted and getting ready to transplant. Particularly if you're going to do anything fancy, like what was I doing? Grafting. Yeah, if you're going to do anything grafting, because you may have some failures. It's a little early to get them in the ground, but you need to start kind of planning and plan the next season. That's how I get through the winter.
Yay.
Looking forward to the spring and planting.
Yay. All right, cool, everyone. Thank you very much for listening. We'll see you later.
Okay, talk to you later, my friend.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Just a quick reminder, if you're interested in building your own website, it is gardenfork.tv/Bluehost. All right? Make it a great day. Garden Fork's theme music is used under license from uniquetracks.com.